fix that now. There we go. I'm good. How are you?
Right on. Great. How you doing? Great to see
Good.
you again. I don't know if there's any way you'd remember, but we chatted about 3 years ago at Comic-Con.
I
At,
do remember. Yep,
oh,
absolutely. What it was Anaheim, right? Comic Con in
uh,
Anaheim.
yeah, it was that. Yeah, that's right. And I
Yeah,
had my boys with me. I don't know if you remember that.
that's
It was
right.
a lot of
Yes, I
fun.
do remember that. Yeah, it's great
Um,
to see you again.
yeah, you as well. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me today. Um, I want to start
Absolutely.
with, how is this world treating you? We're clearly living in something that maybe Rick himself brought about. Do you think we're being
Yeah,
Hindenburged at this point?
it seems like he's probably left already. Uh,
Yeah.
he's on to he's on to a normal life again. Things are fine for me on my end. I'm used to working from home. I always worked from home, so it's not that hasn't changed much. And animation is still going. They're still
hmm
working on it. So I'm blessed to work in animation and still have work to do and things to do. And yeah, how are you doing?
Pretty good. Kind of the same right now. Is I'm lucky that we have what we do have for Comic Con, right? To
Yeah.
have something to do and be able to get some work from home. But like you said, animation is one of those fields that fortunately hasn't been damaged too much by recent events, and in fact maybe benefited a little bit.
Yeah, maybe possibly. Yeah. I know things have been delayed slightly as people figured out how to work from home, but at most it was maybe a month on people's schedules of
hmm
delay. Um, the couple projects I'm working on are proceeding as normal at this point. So, yeah.
Do you want to mention what those projects are, or can you?
Well, I mean, I'm working on, Rick and Morty season 5
Right.
is, I haven't gotten anything yet. I haven't seen anything yet, but I know they're working on it and moving forward with that. We're finishing up some more episodes of Boss Baby back in business. Uh, we're just actually putting the finishing touches on I believe it's well, I don't. So Netflix and DreamWorks, they number their seasons differently, but we're finishing something up. That's all I really can say for sure. Um, yeah.
So, real quickly before I forget, I want to touch on this Sunday. You're in the Composer Squares game show at Comic Con panel, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's like a Hollywood Squares type of game show, and they're going to be asking you and several other composers and industry insiders topics about Marvel's Cinematic Universe, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Golden Girls. So I want to know what's your field of expertise, and what are you going to be hoping to cover for the
Well, so
panel?
that's the great thing about Hollywood Squares, right? Is like if you don't know the answer, it's almost more fun because you get to make up something and try to fool people. But I'm I'm looking forward to people getting to see it, and um, it my area of expertise is I don't know. I don't really have a good one. I guess
Okay.
I know MCU pretty well. My wife and I watched all of them in a row at the end of last year, before Endgame came out. So I have a pretty good grasp of that.
That's some fine movie making. That's a pretty good.
Yeah,
I
they're
mean,
fun. They're just really fun.
yeah. Um, so do you have any? We can't be there this year. We're obviously talking to each other from home. And thanks again for taking the time. But do you have any great memories of San Diego Comic Con that you might be missing this year, or is there something that you'd like to do when you're down here?
Yeah, so I've been twice. The first time I went was you could still get your badge on site. That's
hmm
how long ago it was.
hmm
And it was great. It was fun. It was like I was pretty new to LA, and my wife and I were like, let's go down and check it out for just one day. Finding parking wasn't even that hard.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard, but not that hard. And then I went last year. Was it last year or the year before? Actually, I think it was the year before. Um, yeah, because we did the soundtrack. We did press for the soundtrack release of Rick and Morty, and
hmm
we had like a Justin and Dan did like a live DJ set of the music from the soundtrack
Wow.
at the Adult Swim on the green. So and that was fun. I got to be there for that, and Um, yeah, I mean, I wasn't. I just went for one day, so I wasn't like I didn't get to go to any of the halls and see any of the stuff. But I'm really looking for a good excuse to go there and really do it up 100%. Finally, for the first time.
Hmm. Um, so I know last time you told me about you were friends with Justin and Dan, the showrunner, Justin Roiland and Dan Harmon, for a long time, and you guys made the shorts. You helped with Justin's original Doc and Marty video.
Hmm.
So I'm wondering if you remember the day that you got the job for Rick and Morty. Was there a phone call? Was there a certain memory or a flash of inspiration on that moment?
That's a good question. I had been working with Justin on several pitches before then. We did pitches for Nickelodeon and Fox and various different things where I would write little pieces of music here and there. And so at the time when I first heard about Rick and Morty, it was still just like a pitch presentation. I don't even know. They may have had, yeah, so I don't even think that we were pitching like a full episode or anything like that. And it was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna, whatever you need, I'm on board. Let's do it. And then the next time I heard about it, we were doing a full pilot animatic, which is what eventually they based their decision on to buy the show. So at early on, it was just like, okay, it's just another one of these pitch presentations, and let's hopefully it goes somewhere. If it doesn't, I love working with these guys. They're funny. And then when I saw it, I was like, okay, this actually could go somewhere. This is really good. And I knew it was really good. I knew that I really liked it, but I still could never have guessed that it would have taken off as much as it has.
Um, and was there any sort of moment when you realized, like you said at the beginning, you were like, yeah, this is great, this is going somewhere. But is there a moment where you kind of like see it, I don't want to say spinning out of control, but growing into the behemoth that it is,
Yeah. No, I think
or is that still evolving?
it is still evolving.
Yeah.
It seems like every single year, every single season, it just keeps getting bigger, and I keep getting surprised by how positive the fan reaction is. One thing I will say is that in the beginning, in season one, there was a lot of hype about it on Reddit, and you really couldn't find anyone saying anything negative, which is almost impossible on Reddit,
Yeah.
for one thing. And so it was at that point I was like, okay, there's something like this show is resonating with people in the same way it's resonating with me. And that was pretty exciting. And so I thought, we got a shot here to be at least a cult classic or something, along those lines. But I still can't believe like every time keeps getting bigger and bigger. I love it. It's great. It's really fun.
Yeah. Um, I'm sorry. I like to ask when I get the chance to talk to composers, I like to ask them about how they use color to inform their music or their composition. But I want to steer away from that a little bit and ask you, there's so many unique character and creature designs on the show. Do you let
Mm-hmm.
those influence your music? And can you talk
Yeah,
about
I
that?
mean, absolutely. Especially when those characters or creatures are performing music themselves.
Mhm.
The one scene that comes to mind in particular is the one of the alien band that's competing against Earth in the Get Swifty episode.
Mhm.
And I'm looking at these colorful aliens and their weird, bizarre instruments, and it's really inspiring to look at that and try to figure out what that would sound like. And the cool thing is, in a lot of ways, there's no wrong answers, right? Like almost
Sure.
anything could have come out of that band, and it would have been funny. But the goal is to like make it funny, right? As funny as they are visually. So yeah, absolutely. And then there's scenes where if the color palette is muted or dark or mysterious or something, that obviously informs the music as well.
Mhm.
And anytime it's like flashy and bright and fun, that can inform the music for sure. It,
Are there any, do you have any favorite franchises, either comic books or sci-fi that inspire you, that you draw some inspiration from?
Musically, I would say any movie that Jerry Goldsmith scored is going
Hmm.
to be inspiration for me. Alien, Star Trek. But I'm a huge Trekkie, and I love Star Trek more than any other sort of sci-fi um, IP. And so, yeah, I mean, I love the music from the old Star Trek The Next Generation. I still watch that and I'm just blown away by how good the music is. Everything is interesting. They never tread water, as we call it. They
Hmm.
never just sit there and play one note, which I do, I do a lot on Rick and Morty, I'll admit. But, that's a byproduct of my relationship, my working relationship with Harmon. Harmon doesn't want the music to try to grab your attention in a lot of the moments. So I tend to simplify, keep it simple so that it can sit in the background and just support the story and the tone. Whereas I'll watch like Next Generation and I'll go, wow, they're supporting the story and the tone, but there's these melodies going on. And so the music ends up getting kind of like lost because they have to turn it down so much to make sure those melodies don't fight with the dialogue. And it's amazing music, and it absolutely is incredible. And I don't think there's anything. I'm not to say that there's something wrong with the way that they approach it. It's just a different mentality towards the way that they scored the show.
Sure, sure. Um, Real quick, let me pull on that thread for a second. Who is your favorite captain?
Oh, definitely Picard. Not close.
Not even close. Okay.
Not close. Yeah, no. I mean, I like Janeway a lot too, but it's for me. I mean, Next Generation is what I. That's when I fell in love with Trek. So
Hmm. Yeah, like that was my dad. The original series was my dad's show, and even though I watched it
exactly,
every episode and I loved it, that was like Next Generation was. Oh yeah, this
exactly.
was.
My dad was the same age when original series was on as I was when Next Generation was on, and
Oh
so
yeah.
it just has that effect. Um, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Where do you like to do your composing? Do you have a favorite room? Do you go for
Well,
walks?
I'm in my office right now. Actually, this is the background of it. But yeah, I have a studio in my home here, and it's not big. It's not complicated. I don't have racks of modular synths like other composers do. It's not flashy, but it gets the job done. For me, it's the less distractions, the better. So I don't want a bunch of gear clogging up my options. I want
Mhm.
my options to be streamlined and narrow so that I don't, I can work fast that way.
Yeah. Less decisions to make, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you also get to work with in the past. You worked with Jermaine Clement, Mazzy Star, Blonde Redhead, Chaos Chaos. Do you can you tease anybody that you're working with in season 5?
Well, I haven't started on season 5 yet, so
Okay.
but I will say this: I could talk about who I worked with in season 4 because it just aired. Um, so I worked with an artist named Kotomi. She's a good friend of mine. We wrote a song together that was in the season finale called "Don't Look Back" that I'm really really proud of, and it's doing really well on Spotify and YouTube and stuff. People seem to really like it. I also worked with two amazing comedians, Jess McKenna and Zach Reno. They are from Off Book Podcast. They are comedy improvisers who also have a musical theater approach. So we did a musical theater song that's Rick and Bird Person performing a song together. All that you saw in the episode was maybe 30 seconds.
Right.
We have a full song. We're just waiting for COVID to clear up so we can record the rest of the vocals. It kind of got pushed back, but you'll definitely. I'm hoping you'll see that song in its full glory at some point soon. And those two are just absolute geniuses. Super funny, super fun to work with.
And then, so how much does Dan and Justin ask of you from that? Do they just kind of give you the title and the situation, or are there certain script or story beats that you need to hit in the song, or do you have kind of a free reign?
So I'll talk about each because each of those two examples I just said were sort of a different approach. For the musical theater one, Dan improvised some vocals and it was very rough and loose, and they did the animatic to those rough loose vocals. And then I said, I was like, well, so I could write music underneath what Dan did, or we can make this a real song and blow it out and I hired a band. We got a whole band together to record it, and recorded Dan and Justin on their parts. and so then they conformed the animation to what I had created for that. For the Don't Look Back song, that was supposed to function more like a needle drop, like the Mazzy Star or the Chaos Chaos songs in the past have functioned, where there was an existing song we put into the episode. And the episode was temped with a song, a modern song, you know, that had like a sort of introspective, moody vibe to it. And so I knew, like, let's do something like that. I mapped something out in terms of that would work with the story. So there was no vocals in the beginning, and then there vocals that popped in between Rick's lines of dialogue. So I sort of post-scored it. I wrote a real song that was post-scored to the episode, and then I had it kick in at the credits and go out. And then after that, once the credits were done, we could just do whatever we wanted for the song. We made it all a 3-minute song. I sent my sketch to Lauren Kotomi. Her name is Lauren Cooljack. And she started recording vocals and producing out a little more, and we kind of just back and forth it until it was a song that we were both pretty happy with.
So then you guys, you three, Dan and Justin and yourself you're communicating the whole way. You're pretty interwoven. So there's not really, or is there a chance that your story or your music changes the story or influences the story at all, or the direction of the story?
It's never going to change the story. That's not my job. My job is to support the story, to support the story they want to tell. So sometimes they may, Get Swifty. I didn't write Get Swifty, but that's an example of the music that already existed supporting, creating the story in a way. Because Get Swifty was songs that were Justin made using stock music for a Flash animation game that Adult Swim released. And the writers loved those songs so much that they wrote a whole episode around them. So that is an example of how music can affect story, but generally speaking, my involvement comes after the story is pretty well fleshed out, pretty well set in and baked in, and it's my job to support the story they're trying to tell. So I don't want to be changing it. That's not my job, you know.
Sure. When the last time we spoke, you told me about how people would take your songs and cover them and remix them and do that. And at the time, your favorite version was Human Music, which is still one of my favorite songs on that. Just that whole gag is hilarious. So yeah. Do you have a current favorite? Has anybody been sending you any new music or?
You know what's funny is so I literally just was watching a cover on Instagram of Don't Look Back, and that song has been great. Lots of people covering that. It's super cool, or kind of taking it and remixing it and stuff. But my favorite covers now are when people do something that's way off genre. Like I love heavy metal covers of stuff, or dubstep covers. Those are fun. I mean, there's just so many for me to if I took several days, I could catch up and watch it, listen to them all. But yeah, it's just fun, you know.
Well, I could look into that for you. I've got a little more time these days.
Yeah. Do you want to curate some for me? Send me the good ones.
Sure. So let's see. We talked about gonna have you on little season 5 just a little bit more. You haven't started on it, so I know that's at least 6 months out.
Yeah, I know as much as you do, unfortunately.
Okay.
I know that they're working on animatics, and hopefully those will start getting locked soon, and we'll get to keep moving forward. But they're writing season 6, so it's moving along, and hopefully the schedule will be much more regular from now on.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything that do you ever get to pitch ideas? Do you ever get to pitch storylines?
No.
And is there anything
I would never do that.
Okay. Well, I thought maybe because you guys
there was
were so
one,
close.
you know what? I think so. There was one time I visited the writer's room because I had to give something to Justin or something, and they were like just throwing out ideas, and I threw out an idea, and later I was like, I shouldn't have done that, I'm not a writer. And Justin was cool about it, and he was like, oh, that's a great idea, whatever, because in the writer's room there's no wrong ideas, right? Everybody, but I'm not a writer, so like I wouldn't even pretend to think that my ideas were something that
Sure, I dig it.
I'm more than content to provide the little part of the show that I already get to. So
I can dig that. Just stay in your lane. Stay right. Don't step on any toes. Have you ever got to voice any characters other than maybe singing?
nope, just singing, just singing. I think in an episode that I sung, they credited me with a voice in the end credits or something. It comes up, but it's just me singing. It's a SAG thing. When you sing on a
Right.
show, it's under a SAG contract. So.
So I've just got, let's see, two more. I apologize. I took up most of your time talking about Rick and Morty. I know
Okay.
I know you did Boss Baby, and like I said, my kids are fans of that show. Is there anything else that you're working on that you want to plug?
Nothing yet that's been announced. I'm working on stuff, but I can't really. I don't. It's not final yet, or it hasn't been announced yet. So, but yeah. Actually, you know what? I am working on something that has been announced that I could talk about, which is a Quibi show that Justin created called Gloop World. It's claymation. It's really cool. Got a kind of a Gumby vibe, and
Gloop,
that's Gloop World. Yeah,
Gloop
that's been
World.
really fun.
Okay, groovy.
And I don't know when that's coming out, but it's supposed to be Quibi. So.
Um, on Quibi, that young upstart, up and coming streaming app. So my final question is, I also co-host a podcast called Saturday Morning Serial. And one of the tenets of the show is me and the other fellows, we used to, as kids, we had to get up real early on Saturday morning to fight for our spot on the couch so we could get the remote and watch what we wanted to watch. But also, so you got to get up early and you got to run to the kitchen and get yourself a big bowl and fill it with your favorite cereal. So Ryan Elder, composer for Rick and Morty, Big Baby, what is your favorite bowl of Saturday morning cereal?
Oh, Captain Crunch, not close.
Oh yeah, berries, no berries.
No berries, no, just the plain Captain Crunch. Yep.
Yes, do that sweet damage.
I never got it though. That's the thing. That's probably why I love it, because my mom would always get like the healthy stuff.
Oh, boo. So it's a special treat. Yeah.
Special occasions, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what about your favorite Saturday morning cartoon?
Oh man. You know what I was obsessed with? It's not a cartoon, but I loved Pee-wee's Playhouse when I was a kid. That was the one that I looked forward to the most by far.
Yeah, man, that's a great show. He's still around. Well, hey, Ryan, I won't take up any more of your time. I know you're probably a pretty busy guy. That's really all I got for you. Good luck on Sunday at 4 o'clock, right? Is that when that panel is? I want to get that right. Sunday at 4.
Yeah.
But if you miss it, you can catch it
4 p.m. Pacific. 4 p.m. Pacific, yep.
And then it'll be on the Comic-Con at home.
And the other composers on this panel are all amazing. And I was like, I'm a little out of place here, but it felt great. It was fun. It's fun to get to be with these amazing composers and have some fun.
I apologize. I don't have that list in front of me, but I will
I can tell you.
I will mention them in the, if you have it.
I can list them. Yeah, no, it's Lauren Balfe, Chris Leonards, Jean-Nic Bontemps, Sonia Belasova, and Gianna Ostinelli. And, amazing credits between those people. Just outrageously good credits. The Witcher, what's the show that Lauren just is doing on HBO? His Dark Materials. Chris Leonards has done everything under the sun. Like it's a fun panel, and everybody I think is like really going to have a fun time with it. So
one of those, I apologize, I don't get the credit right. I don't want to misspeak. Isn't one of those composers does The Boys as well?
Yeah, Chris Leonards. Yep.
Chris Leonard. Okay, everything under the sun, that falls under that one. And I also wanted to mention that those panels that Chandler is putting together for the Comic-Con at home. He's really doing, that you're involved in, he's doing a great job of making these panels, which end up essentially being Zoom meetings, right? A little more fun and entertaining other than just a Zoom meeting, right?
That's one of the things I love about Chandler is like he likes to have fun. I like to have fun. He likes to have fun. This isn't like this. We're not doctors. We're not surgeons. We can have fun.
Right. Nothing wrong with that.
And so that's why I love working with Chandler. He just likes to have fun. So.
Okay. Okay, buddy. Thanks for your time, Ryan.
Thanks,
We'll see you
Jimmy.
Sunday at the panel,
Yep.
and we'll talk to you later. Take it
Yep.
easy.
Take care.
You
Bye.
too.